Welcome to PhD with Woman on IT Hack the Future. My name is Bata Young, and today's PhD Positivity Hack delivered will be by our guest, Patty O'Callaghan. Topic: Leading on the Digital Frontier. Episode 106 starts here. Let me remind you, this is a grassroots community that focuses on women on IT, an inclusive forum of women in technology, startups, and female leaders who are supported by men as well. And I bring heart to that hustle because empathy is my mojo. And empathy is critical when you are leading on the digital frontier. First, let me just mention a couple of things that's been happening. Congratulations to our former PhD guest Nora Dinuzzo for being selected as the EDGE Program Scholarship recipient this year. We are proud of you, Nora. Go to the new heights with this program. Kudos to Legos Group initiative, which encourages girls of all backgrounds to let their creativity soar while smashing through any barriers that dare to stand in their way. It's here to prove that you can be anything you want to be. From daring adventurers to brainy scientists, heroic engineers, to fearless explorers, no dream is too big, ladies. And finally, congratulations. No surprise to today's PhD guest. Applause to you, Patty, for successfully sharing your expertise on responsible AI at the Google I/O Extended Edinburgh event last week. It's an impressive accomplishment, and may you continue to inspire us, Patty. Now, let's go back to our topic, leading on the digital frontier. In today's rapidly evolving digital landscape, tech leaders are at the forefront, driving innovation and spearheading transformative initiatives. Venezuelan born Scottish resident Patty O'Callaghan has 20 plus years' experience in technology. With a background in AI, she works as tech lead at Charles River Laboratories. In her free time, Patty is dedicated mentor and educating, leading a code club for 10 to 15-year-olds at her local school and being part of the Google Developers Group Glasgow. Patty is a Google's Woman Techmaker ambassador, just like me and many others of our previous guests. Join us, ask questions, talk to Patty, talk to me, talk to all the women in technology, ask questions, and enjoy our conversation. Patty, let's start with a simple question. I guess this place has been mentioned before. Where in the world are you today?
Yeah, hi, Beat, and thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here talking to you. I absolutely love your program. So yeah, it's such an honor to be here. So yeah, like you said, I'm Venezuelan, but I am fortunate enough to live in the beautiful Scotland. So right now I'm based in Glasgow since almost 6 years ago.
Quite a change of weather, we know.
Yeah.
Your daughter is playing somewhere in the garden, we know. Do you have more kids? Just one daughter? Tell us about your
Yeah, no,
family life.
yeah, well, my daughter, I have a boy and a girl. My daughter, she's 16. Um, so yeah, she's in the garden getting some sun. And my son Tomas, my daughter name is Julieta, and my son Tomas is 14, and he's not on the sun. He's on his room, which is kind of a cave, dark cave, playing with the PlayStation. The boys, they don't care about the sun, honestly.
Well, that's your story and you're sticking to it. Anyway, Patty, it's a pleasure to know that you raise beautiful children, even though I guess you started to be a mother as an embryo. You look so young.
Oh, thank you. No, actually, I'm 45 right now. I had my daughter when I was 28, and then 2 years later I had Thomas. So yeah, but thank you.
There you go. So we are talking about leadership. Let's focus on that because I guess it's not an easy trait to be a leader while raising children. Tell us about your route. How did you start when you were 28? Probably the world looks somewhat different than when you're 45 or
Yeah,
more.
yeah. Well, yeah, like my story with computer science and with IT started when I was just a little girl, and I really enjoyed reading the sci-fi books that my dad had, and I always like all these stories about robots. And then I did some programming courses for kids when I was like 8 or 10, because my auntie, she had like a computing academy in Venezuela, and it was actually very it was not common to have courses for kids, but I was lucky enough to be able to attend those, and I instantly fell in love with that. I started coding at that age. Then I went to uni. I studied computer science. um, but I started working at the same time, right? And I started working. I have always worked in this area. So I was going through uni, and I was progressing on my career, which is not maybe the best idea, because that made me sometimes not pay enough attention to uni. So you really need to be organized and mature enough to find a good balance. Um, then I had my kids, and I did a specialization at uni on artificial intelligence when it was not popular at all. It was not what it is right now. Um, there was just for the nerds that were like interested in that area. Right now, obviously, that is completely different. And the thing is that because of that, and because in Venezuela, finding a work or a company that work with AI projects was really not common. It was very academic. I started working in web development, and that is what I have done my all of my professional life. It has been around web development and that kind of projects. um, so yeah, in Venezuela, I had some positions, and by the end, I was managing very small teams of developers, and some of them in startups, some of them in very established companies where I learned a lot. But then I had to leave my country, and it was tricky. Um, because yeah, I had to kind of start all over again. But before going to that, and related to your question about the kids, it's difficult for it's already difficult for women on IT, but to be in this field, because it's full of boys, right? It's a man all men domain. But for women in any kind of profession, having to deal and find a balance between your career and being a mother is very, very difficult. um, so I had to stop my career for a while. I decided to take care of the kids while they were growing up. My husband is a medical doctor, so back then was going to through the post grade. So he wasn't at home. It was very difficult. So now that I think about it, even though I had to put like a stop to my career, I think, at least in my case, was the right decision, because it was really, really good for the kids to have me around, and I get to enjoy them when they were growing up. So now they are teenagers, and I don't feel as bad of course, I like to be around them, and it's a blessing that I'm working from home. That gives me more space to be around them. But I feel, let's say, relief. I don't know if that's the right word. My English is not the best, but it's a good feeling to know that I spent a lot of time with them when they needed me the most. That is when they were kids. So yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Obviously, everybody has got a different route or unique way of getting into the leadership position, or however, whatever career choices they have. I guess you had a very good path, and we're going to talk about it later on. However, let me just mention we have a lovely mention from Sospater Manker, watching you, Patty, from Africa. I guess it's somebody you know.
Yeah, he's amazing. Thank you for joining, and he's very supportive of everything that I do. So I'm very happy to see you here, Sospater.
Thank you so much. Love to you and lots of support from leaders all over the world, whether you're male, female, whatever the gender, whatever the color skin color you have, or whatever background you have. Now, Patty, you mentioned the fact that you had to put a pause on your career. However, it didn't stop you to dream big. So, what inspired you to choose the path of becoming a leader?
Well, I think that is also something that I have, like, to be a leader in any kind of position or project that you're working on. I believe that yes, you can learn how to be a leader, but there is also something within you that makes you organically grow into that. So I think I have always kind of had these traits of leading, groups of people in several different domains, not only on work, maybe on the work that I do with technical communities. Um, and I always say, like, the best place to learn these skills is when you're a mom of teenagers. You have to lead this bunch of people, and deal with a lot of different problems, a lot of context switching, and that's a great way to learn. But yes, I think as all of these traits that I have, I'm very outgoing, um, and the way I'm very much into, I absolutely enjoy solving problems by coding, by using technology. So for me, these kind of challenges are actually very fun. Um, of course, sometimes you suffer, sometimes you have to deal with projects that can be very complicated, and being also leading a team is not all about technical stuff. It's also about um, leading with people, and there are many different kind of peoples and how they interact with each other, so that can be also a challenge. But yeah, I really enjoy it, and I think that is something that helps me a lot in my daily work, and all the projects that I have for my career, is that I'm always, and sometimes it might not be too good, I'm very enthusiastic, and very in this let's do it mode. And sometimes you have to find a balance, but that is also part of you never stop learning in your career. I believe in any career that you're in, you never stop learning. So yes, it's a work in progress.
So, work in progress. However, I have to say that it's uh, all these traits you mentioned are so common with so many ladies. So, what is the uniqueness you brought apart from the fact that you are very ambitious and very driven and you're a go getter? What was the soil that this seed of Patty managed to grow so lovely? Is it the company? Is it the company culture? Is it the people that you were surrounding yourself? Who helped you the most?
Um, well, I have to say that I have worked in many different companies, and there are three specific ones that I can attribute a lot of things that I have learned. Um, and also, another very important ingredient is that I really, really value, and I think it's very important uh, to know profoundly the technology that you're working with, and that you are actually very good at it. That um, I think that for technical leaders, it's very important to have a very solid base on technology, and to understand and try to be as good as you can, like as much like the best that you can be in terms of technical work. um, so in the terms of who has helped me, I think I have to go back to Venezuela. I once worked in a company, well, it's not a company, like a university there, and in a department for continuous education. And they wanted to create, back then, that was 18 years ago, 16 years ago, they wanted to automate a lot of their manual processes that they were, everything was manual, a manual process. Everything was stored in a Word document or an Excel file. All the information about the students, are the courses, everything, the administrative processes. And I joined the team. At the beginning, it was just a one person team, which was me. And I was like the coordinator of the team. And I was just like being my own manager. Um, but it was good. I'm very proud of the work that I did. And I have to always be very grateful to Professor Elizabeth Sanchez, because she really taught me so much about work ethics. And I believe that a lot of my work ethics, I learned that from her. She's an amazing person, amazing director, amazing manager. And she was always very supportive of me and the work that I did. Then I was so lucky to be part of a company that is called Dana. And in Dana, we did a bunch of like the the technical complexity of the projects and the things that we were working on were more, let's say, higher than what I have been doing in the university. And there, I also am always going to be grateful, and I will always remember all of the lessons that I learned from Paul Kinholz. And he's just an amazing person, amazing manager, amazing computer scientist as well. And he gave me the opportunity where I learned so much, the opportunity to deal directly with corporate clients. And I learned so much from that. And also work ethics as well. So I'm really grateful to them. Um, and I also did coding work there. And I remember I was in charge of developing this huge online platform for a bank in Venezuela. And it was like when online banking was not what it is right now. So this was like something new, right? This bank had this online banking system for people to go and download their statements. And I was in charge of that, and I coded and so on. And on the day of the that it went into production, and everyone, there were like thousands of people coming and using it, because it was like announced everywhere. And it went down like 10 minutes after the go live. And we were like, oh my God, what's going on? It was an error on the database and so on. And then we discovered that I made this very dumb mistake of not closing the calls to the database. And there was a bunch of people doing requests to the database, and it was a mess. But um, of course, it's something that when you are there, it's like I was the person who was responsible for all of these clients from the bank struggling, and it was a mess. But first of all, I learned it was amazing how Paul and the team they approach the issue. Like, okay, everyone can make a mistake. Let's solve it. And I learned like it was I own my mistake, right away. I could say like, okay, it was me. I did this. I'm sorry. I'm gonna fix it. And then we fix it and we solved it. So it was um so good to see that they got my back, right? I made this very dumb mistake, but they got my back, and I was able to, own my mistake and say, okay, I'm gonna solve it, and with it, that was such a great learning. And
Mm,
also, it's good when you do a mistake like that. If you have that on or a mistake of that scale, you know, helps you understand that anyone can do it. Anyone can go through that, situation. And if you're leading a team where someone, maybe a junior developer or a senior developer or whatever, makes a mistake like that, what you really have to do is to, um, support them and say, okay, let's do this, let's solve it, and let's learn from the mistake. Not pointing fingers, because that really doesn't is not going to help anyone. And we're humans, we're not robots. We can make mistakes. What is really important is how you react to it, right? If you own your
absolutely.
mistake and you say it was me, I'm gonna solve it, not pointing fingers. That's the important thing, I think.
It just reminds me a story that Tara Hernandez told us about the time she was working for Pixar, and she almost, but not quite, she had a copy somewhere else. She deleted part of Toy Story. So it
Oh.
can happen, but as she mentioned, I owned it, I admitted to it as soon as possible, and good for you, Patty, that you didn't lose any money of your clients.
Yes, that's good. That's actually very good.
Absolutely. We have a lovely comment, just a little emoji from Jean Pascalini. I guess that's another friend of yours. Let me
Yeah.
just go to one thing that you mentioned,
Yeah.
because you point out the fact that as a leader, you want to be the best in the field, whatever it is. So, in terms of AI, you want to be on top of what is happening in AI. However, what would you say to those who believe that a great leader is not somebody who needs to know everything, but somebody who chooses the best people for the job, preferably better than them?
Yes. Yes. I agree with that. When I said that you have to be very good at what you do or the technology that you're working on, I'm talking about how I got there, right? And because of working in technology is impossible to know everything. Is like it's a field that evolves way too quickly. There is so broad, it's impossible, right? But what I'm referring to is that when you are a developer, right, usually you are a senior developer and then you move to the technical leader position if that is something that you would like to do, because it's not for everyone. um, it's important that when you get to that step, that phase of becoming a technical leader, you really have to be, you have to have a very solid technical background. And I really, really believe in that. Then of course you get to lead a team, and let's talk. I'm going to talk specifically about my team, and Sean is part of my team, so thank you for being here. You can have people that are very good at working with the front end. There is people that is very good at working with the back end, and you don't necessarily are as good as them, but it's important that you have the understanding of what they're working on at those technologies, and that you're able to make technical decisions, right? So you have to have that solid understanding of the project, of the tech stack that you're working on. And then of course, yes, there's gonna in my team there is people that are amazing developers, and they are very good at what they do, and they can be better than me for sure, for sure. And I'm very happy for that. It's amazing.
So, Patty, I'm thinking about the fact that it's a modern take on leadership, which is I share the knowledge, not so much I hold on to no knowledge because it gives me power. So, sharing is also the fact that you have to ask questions, you have to have team meetings. Is there a secret sauce to Patty's approach to leadership?
Uh, I think um, I think being very empathic, and understanding that a team is formed by people, and that you have to not only see the team as a unit to produce technical work, but it's also like a very organic unit that is made of people, and what you have to do is help them do their job at the best they can, and help them to feel comfortable in the team, and to be in a good mood across the team, for everyone to be open to collaboration. Because obviously we can be under moments that are very stressful, and sometimes you have to meet a deadline, sometimes you have issues with the technology that you're using. So it's very important that um, you get the grasp of the how the people interact, how they feel, what do they need to do their work the best they can. So I think empathy, um, bringing positivity, enthusiasm, um, I think that is something I'm very enthusiastic all the time, but finding the balance as well, to when you have to, you know, be serious about something. Of course, that you have to, but yeah, I think that's kind of my signature.
Beautiful, Patty. I'm grateful for your positivity because what better place to bring it than to positivity hacks delivered? And since you mentioned empathy, I believe we talked about empathy, how important it is for a great leadership, how it is a unique trait that women are usually much better at than men because we can read the secret hues, because we are by nature attuned to see and watch our children as they grow, watch their emotions, and this is one thing that we can definitely excel. But Patty, let me go back to the question of designing your unique leadership route, because I think there is lots of women who wonder, well, I'm also hardworking. Okay, I have a lot of knowledge and I have anti Google, anti Wiki, and they are helping me a lot. But this company is not really seeing me. What would you say to this girl?
Well, I have a very interesting experience around that. First of all, I have to say that I'm lucky to work in such a supportive and amazing company like Charles River Laboratories. Since I have joined the company, I felt like heard by the leadership team, by my coworkers. They have given me so many opportunities to grow into my roles, and they have been so supportive. Um, so I'm always going to be grateful because of that. The mentorship that I get from my managers and the leadership team is amazing, and everything that I have done so far, I'm very proud of it, and very grateful for all of the things that I have learned. Um, they have given me opportunities to represent the company, being as a speaker in very important technical conferences. But one thing that helped me a lot, um, and I have to be very grateful to them as well, is the Google community programs. So I remember being in that position, like you said. I'm a very good software engineer. My performance is good. I contribute a lot in my team. What made me, to be like highlighted? And I think the Google community programs, they had a lot of to do with that. And it's because I started being part of these programs, and I started being part of as a speaker in many conferences, technical conferences, and being a Women Techmakers ambassador, and then organizing Women Techmakers Scotland. And I started to volunteer. They were looking for people within the company, from the software engineers to be speakers and to speak at, let's say, in um, you know internal events, to share, maybe to talk about the technology that you're working on or the project that you're working on. So I started volunteering, and it seemed that nobody wanted to volunteer but me. It got to a point like I was like, I'm not going to do it this week. Like every 2 weeks we had these internal mini conferences within the teams. So that was something that really made me like to be highlighted within the company. And then of course they started to notice the work that I was doing. And since then, from the beginning as well, but that was something that made me be I'm trying to look for the word in English, but yeah, to be highlighted. Another thing that is very important that I want to add is that
Yeah.
don't don't hold back. To when it's very common for women to hold back when you want to talk about your achievements, and you want to talk about all of the good things that you have done at work or your personal life or whatever, um, because it might seem that you're bragging, right? But not. And there is a program within Google that is called I Am Remarkable, where we always say it's not bragging if it is based on facts. So if you're talking about your achievements, and they are based on facts, you're actually, that is not bragging. And of course you have to be, sharing that in the right environment and in the right conversation. But if you don't do that, people is not going to do it for you, right? So you have to advocate for yourself and for the things that you do well, and your achievements, and you should feel good about it. But for women, is that is hard. Like the guys, they don't have an issue saying like, "Oh, I deal with this project and I was awesome." They can say it. But and another thing that it really helps me, if I can be completely honest, is that I'm very outgoing, and I don't feel, if I want to talk with someone, and maybe I have to talk with the CTO of the company, and I have to pitch him this idea that I had for changing something on the website. Um, I don't mind doing it. I can go and talk to him and explain to him, listen, this is my idea. So maybe try to come out a little bit of that shell that we might be in, because you're a woman and you have to speak slowly. And no, be respectful, of course, all the time, but just try to, speak up and share what you think, your ideas, and another thing that is super mega important is, and that is something that I always do, and it helps me a lot, is to be open to feedback all the time. I always say to my managers, like, I can pay you money for your feedback. It doesn't matter if you're going to come and tell me all the things that I'm doing wrong. That is actually what I want to know. I want to know what I'm doing wrong because I want to be better. And if people is telling you, oh, you're nice, you're doing everything right, okay, but be open to the feedback. Having feedback is one of the most valuable things that you can get on your career. And if it's constructive feedback, if they're going to tell you what what you can improve, is even better. So that is something very important. Be open to feedback, crave for it, ask for it, and that is something that is really, really helpful.
And focus on the positive, because if you focus on the positives get more positive, Patty.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
we bring you, everyone, whoever is watching us and listening, to these hints and tips on how to become a great leader. Patty, you mentioned the fact that it's so much more difficult for women. I believe it's not much more difficult. I believe if you have a power, you just need to speak up. It is going to feel uncomfortable. And do you remember the first time you had to speak up to become noticed?
Um, like on my career from the very beginning.
Why not? Or career, or when you had to organize the first meeting for women tech makers?
Um, I don't know. I just have this mindset. I do very much have this mindset of let's do it. You know, I really try to get away from situations where there is like analysis paralysis, you know. People get together and they analyze something and they analyze it, and that is good, but it gets to a point where it keeps on going, and maybe you get into let's say decision during that meeting, and then suddenly you have that same meeting 2 weeks later, and they're gonna keep on talking and analyzing, and I'm very much of, okay, we already know what we have to do, we know the risks, let's prepare for the risks, let's prepare for everything to be a success. And I think I want to put that like in that t-shirt, let's land this plane. So I'm very much because yes, it's frustrating sometimes, but again, there's people within the teams that they might not like that approach, so you have to be careful and find a balance. It's not something like this is going to be done the way I say it's going to be done. No, because it's a team, so you have to listen to everyone. But I'm very much more into the, let's okay, let's discuss it, but let's land the plane. um yeah.
Love it. Let's land the plane. We
Yeah.
have Olga Vasina making a comment. Feedback is the most important thing. Totally agree, Patty. Does that count as feedback? I guess so.
Yeah,
Stay
maybe.
brilliant, feeling inspired. Great job,
Amazing.
Patty. And we have another comment from Jamil. Hello, Beata and Patty. Very interesting topic today. I totally agree. You speak from your heart, Patty, and we really appreciate that you're not hiding anything. So, you mentioned the fact that sometimes people like to talk, and there is no action. Isn't it what a lot of, the bias brain comes in? And I think, when I think of Latinas, this is when they talk a lot and quite often very loud, and can be overpowering
That's me.
sometimes. So what happened there? How do you cope with this mix of cultures? Because you're coming from a from a different background, and you're
Yes.
rooted in Glasgow with a different accent, different. I guess it's very difficult sometimes over the phone. I really struggled quite often.
You mean with the Glaswegian accent? Yeah,
Yep.
it's tricky, but you get used to it. I got used to it, and I love it. But yeah, it can be tricky. No, well, obviously, when I was working in Venezuela, everyone was Venezuelan, right? But then I moved to Europe, and especially after the pandemic, um, and everyone working remotely, we can have people from many different places, and that is actually amazing. You bring into the team so many different perspectives, and that is, and you learn so much from your coworkers. I absolutely love it, and it's fun. But sometimes, obviously, it comes with some challenges. So, for example, I remember in my current team, there is a developer. He's from Lithuania, and we worked together before in another company, so we already knew each other, right? And he came into the team, joined the team, and there is another amazing developer, and he's from the US. So we were discussing in one informal meeting. We were discussing something technical. I don't really remember what was it, and this guy from Lithuania and we were like, and because we know each other, we were like having this discussion, and it really sounded like we were having like a fight. But we weren't. I love the guy. We were just, that's the way we talk. And my co-worker from the US, he was like looking at the whole interaction, and he was like, what's going on, right? And when the meeting was over, he reached out to me, and he was like, Patty, are you okay? You were having an argument. And I was like, no, I wasn't like that. We were just talking. um and he was like, oh, I really thought that you were like screaming at each other. And I was like, oh, no, 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 that was not the case. But, and I explained to him, right, we know each other and so on. But it was a really good lesson, because I learned that even though for me and for my colleague from Lithuania it was very common and it was okay, that's not the perception that the rest of the team was having. So we had to say, okay, listen, this is not the right way of communication when there is other people in the team in the meeting. So I learned that you have to realize that there is many different cultures in the team, and that maybe something can be, maybe misunderstood, or maybe someone can take something as an offense, or you're being rude when that's not really your intention. And I also have to think about um, the background of the people in the team, right? Because sometimes someone can say something or act in a certain way that I might think that is rude, or that is really not. So that you have to have that skill of understanding that it can be a team with a bunch of different cultures and different personalities, and that is also it's amazing. It's amazing. It comes with its challenges, but it's really awesome.
It's so relatable, I have to tell you. I'm sorry, I'm moving around because the sun is shining on me here
Amazing.
in Poland, in beautiful city of Toruń. When I remember, like 15 years ago, my mother-in-law came, and I was speaking to my daughter in Polish, and she was confused. She was asking my husband, why is your wife shouting at the child all the time? She just did not understand that its Polish accent is so different than English. So definitely we need to be mindful of the fact that there are different backgrounds, different voices, different hues that we are attuned to or used to. So, Patty, I am mindful of the fact that we are running short of time. You
Oh my
spoke so
god.
many, you gave us so many examples, and I need to ask the critical question I always like to ask. So,
Yeah.
Patty, what is the number one book you wished you read before you started your career?
Well, there is a bunch of books, but I actually have it here. I don't know if I can show it. There is this brilliant book called Thinking in Systems. Well, maybe the blurry thing cannot help. So, Thinking in Systems by Donella Meadows. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's such an amazing book, and I highly recommend to everyone to read it. Thinking in Systems, because of course it will help you. Everything that we do in this career is related to systems, and uh, in other careers as well. So so many insights, and I really wish I could have like read this book when I was at uni. But I read it really recently, and it's just amazing. Of course, there is a bunch of other books because I love to read, but I cannot recommend them all, so I will go with that one.
Okie doke, let's go into your favorite life lesson quote and how did it change you? Why is it so relatable to you?
Oh well, I have a bunch. I have a bunch. If I was when I was thinking like, okay, probably I will get this question, and I was thinking in one that I can talk about. So the one that I chose, I have it written here because there are many, and the ones that I enjoy the most are the sayings, the popular sayings that we usually say in Venezuela, but they are very Latin. But again, this one is from Pablo Picasso, and the amazing artist, and is action is the foundational key to all success. So of course, like it's very related to what I told you before of I'm very much action oriented. So yes, this is one that I really like, and I think you have
If
to take.
Pablo Picasso was flying a plane, he would say, "Let's get this plane landed," right?
Let's land the plane. Yeah,
Let's land the
exactly.
plane.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, Patty, it's a beautiful quotation, and I think it also is related to leadership because so many leaders cannot make a decision, and it's critical to actually make a decision and go with it and have a team who is going to support you and be own it. I mean, whatever the consequences might be, you just have to own the fact that you made a decision at that time. You were thinking about various scenarios. If something popped up, well, so be it, but at least it was action. Now, we have a comment from Patrick L. Young. That would be my favorite person in the world. My husband, amused at an American in Glasgow, that noted heaven of non confrontational chat, was thinking of Leith Latham passionate discourse. Was an argument. LOL. Well, anyway, Patrick, I hope you're feeling better because I know you were not quite well. Now, I'm thinking about Eleanor Roosevelt's beautiful quote, and I know the Latina approach and hot blood of Latina. And as we know, Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "Women are like tea bags. We don't know our true strength until we are in hot water in life." How are you in hot water? How are you brewing, Patty?
Well, I think that the biggest change in my life, and I guess the biggest crisis that I went through was the final years in Venezuela before I had to be an immigrant. And you get into a situation where you are in a very beautiful country, biggest oil reserve in the world. Everything is perfect weather, beautiful beaches, and suddenly everything changes, and you don't expect, you didn't expect or plan to be an immigrant. And just going through that situation, escaping a kidnapping, it just gave me like the will to, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to move out to a very different country with my kids. They were 8 and 10, and it was hard. It was difficult. It was in part amazing because I got the super luck to move to Scotland, which I absolutely love. But my husband couldn't work here as a doctor for 2 years. I had to work a lot. I had to take two works, and go to sleep at 4 a.m. because I was working for the other company. It was very hard, but um, those times I really appreciate them because um, you learn so much from crisis, and you learn so much. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but you really learn so much about what you are actually capable to do, that you maybe didn't even expect that you were going to react that way, and move forward. And I what I like the most about that is the example that I gave to my kids, and they were able to see, listen, your mom is a woman and she's working hard, and that is fine. It's fine. It doesn't have to be that all the time. And if you have to work hard, and maybe you have to go to bed late because you're working, it's because you have a goal, and you're just going through it without complaining all the time. Of
Mm.
course, it's sad, leave your country, but don't complain all the time. Just do what you have to do and move forward. So
It's
yeah, that's
beautiful
how I
because
met
Tati,
water.
Tati, you're very strong, and it's probably very going to be kind of difficult to step into these shoes for someone who's young and who is trying to figure it out. And I've seen it especially with the Gen Z, how they are coping with work hard attitude, and how they really want to enjoy their life, not work themselves to death. But that's probably a story for another episode. And at this stage, we covered so much, Patty, and I really appreciate your honesty and the beautiful stories. One thing I have to tell you though, it's when the hardship is coming, and I'm speaking also from my recent what's been happening with me. It is very hard because you just think, what is there to show you? What is the universe trying to tell me? Why is all of this happening? Why can't you just lift the lid a little bit because it's so dark right
Mhm.
at the moment? But then when you go through that tunnel, Patty, when you have that career, when the path is made clear, it's so easy, right?
I mean, you get to learn so much from it, right? And it helps you a lot. What you learn going through those rough patches, they it gives you some skills and lessons that can help you on many different domains of your life. So yeah, of course it was hard, and it was not a situation that I wanted to be in. But if you're there, you just have to move forward, right? And try to do the best you can, and just keep on walking.
Absolutely. Small steps lead to big accomplishments. Now, Patty, thinking about big steps, imagine you could travel anywhere in the world and you could have private breakfast with anybody in the world. Who would you choose and what is your dream location?
Yeah. So I think I would absolutely love to invite Dr. Ben Gersel for some breakfast with Venezuelan arepas. So the arepas is like the food that we always eat. It's kind of a sandwich, but it's not it's difficult to explain. But it's perfect for breakfast. And yeah, it could be anywhere. It could be here at home in the garden. I'm a big admirer. I admire a lot the work of Ben Goertzel. He is like the godfather of artificial general intelligence, And I'm a big since I was a little kid, I absolutely love everything related to AI, and I really like his work and his philosophy around AI and around how if we achieve artificial general intelligence, and there is a lot of discussion around that over the world right now. Um, how we can make or what can we do and what should we be doing for this artificial general intelligence to be beneficial for humanity and for the human race. And yes, his ideas are just amazing. Is his take on the humanity and all the positive things that technology can bring to humanity is just amazing, and it covers everything. It's not just the technical side. He has projects with music and with robots. He leads a company that I love that is called Singularity Net, and they have many different projects related to AI, and some of them are for music, some of them are for dealing with people with diseases, some of them are very technical. And I would love to. Poor guy, he better say no, because I will ask him like trillions of questions around computer science and AI, and he will be mortified, and it will be too much.
Well, Patty, I guess my answer to you is ask ChatGPT to talk to you like your favorite character, and
Yeah,
I think he will provide a simulation for you. The
he has a
human,
project like that. Actually, he has it
the,
already.
there you go. Well, the human element, though, is irreplaceable, as we know. And as we know, there is lots of females just like yourself who are at the frontiers of AI, at the frontiers of technology. And I'm so grateful for your unique story, because I don't believe ChatGPT can come up with such a unique story that is just Patty's path to great leadership. Each time a woman stands up for herself, she stands up for all women, as Maya Angelou says, and I believe you're a great women Techmakers ambassador. And that's it from episode 106 PhD Livestream. Thank you, Patty O'Callaghan. To stay updated and ensure you never miss a positivity hack delivered, follow Women on It and turn on notifications to be alerted. Next week, we are going to have Joe Briani, and we are going to talk about how to safeguard your business information in a digital world, in a world of AI, in a world of online. Thank you so much to our lovely audience, and I am very grateful, Patty, for your great career. Let me just mention, you already have path cleared, and your next step will be what position?
Well, obviously getting better and keep on progressing on my technical lead role. But yeah, I would love to maybe progress to a technical director position or something related to it. It will be great. So that's on the path. Let's see how it goes.
Fingers crossed. Absolutely. Well, after all these praises that you mentioned today, I'm sure there will be something happening soon. Anyway, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. Again, Maya Angelou. Today is your day to hug the future, hug the positivity you want. See you next week. Thank you.
Thank you very